Hi, my name is Dustin Cooper. I'm the owner of Cooper Coaching Academy, Cooper Coaching through Instagram. Started my page a couple years back, been posting drills and content to help other players get to another level, a level that I wish to continue to get at myself. I'm currently still a player myself. I play in Germany at the moment, back in California where I'm from right
Yeah.
now, but I'm playing in Germany. So that's mainly a little bit about me for now.
Love that. So basically, going from the content side real quick, why did you start posting content? When did you start posting content? Is it difficult posting content as you're playing professionally as well? Because when I was playing professionally, I didn't do any content or anything like that. I just focused. But is it difficult doing both?
Yeah, so I started in April 2020. It was during COVID, the best time to
Yeah.
ever start up anything because it was all the time in the world.
Yeah.
I was currently playing in England at the time, and I got the chance to come back to America where I'm from, and just I had so much time available. I was working a job at the same time. I was training every day, and I took one video, and from there I was like, I want to take more videos, but it wasn't for
Yeah.
the side of I want to see myself training. It was for the side of I want to see how much videos I can get. I want to see how many drills I have, and then even use that for myself
Yeah.
because taking a video of it and then later on I can look back at it and say, I like this drill. I'm gonna use this for my session today, and I
Yeah.
can save it to a file and use that. So that was the main reason I started the account, was for other players to see the content or the drills that I have available, as well as for me to use it for my own sessions. And in regards to you asked if it was too difficult,
Yeah.
it was, you know, I save so much of my day to be able to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's more difficult when I'm home in America because I'm doing so much every single day. I'm from place
Yeah.
to place. But when I'm in Germany, at least, or when I was in England, I would make sure that I would have time to record videos.
Yeah.
Every once a week, I would record videos, and other than that, I would have the rest of the day to
Yeah.
train. To if I needed to record extra videos, or most time I'd train if I liked one of the drills I was doing, or I liked one of the parts I added to my drills, I'd be like, I should add this and take a video of it, take a video, post it. So I was very big
Yeah.
on making sure that I had time to train on my own because I like to be more sharp, especially playing at night. Most of my trainings and games were always at night, which left me the
Yeah.
whole day to do whatever I wanted.
Right.
And having the whole day do whatever you want, most players would not know what to do. They would go
Yep.
crazy. They would get on their game consoles. They'd get on their phone
Yep.
the whole day. Me, although I'd like to do that same kind of stuff,
Right.
I would make sure to get my training in first and I'd get on this page second because it was so big for me to get to enjoy what I'm doing. I mean, I've started this up and I mean, now it's up at 112K, but before I
Yep.
got all the way up there, I was still making sure I did what I needed to do. And now I'm just happy that's going the way it is. But at the same time, I just want other players to be able to see how they can improve themselves.
100%, man. I mean, very, very well put. Another question, sort of just changing the subject slightly, very slightly, but how would you describe yourself as a player in 3 words? As a player, and then we'll do as a coach as well.
Not just for looks, but I get it the same way. I'd say 2 words, Bruno Fernandez. That's one thing I get a lot. And I'll keep it going for now because it is
Yeah.
similar to my style. I do play that 10 position
Yeah.
and I love to get forward on the ball and I love to, more importantly, create goals. I love that
Yeah.
more than if I have a chance to get a pass in front of a goal, I'll do that rather than score a goal. It makes me
Right.
smile more to get an assist than a goal.
Yeah. What's your background? Your sort like your nationality and that kind of thing. Like where's your family from? Or where did you
Uh,
learn to play football?
Definitely. So I'm from America. My parents are also from
Yeah.
America themselves.
Yeah.
We're all from Ohio and we moved to California when I was younger.
Gotcha.
But with that being said, I learned from my family. My
Yeah.
parents raised me on it. I
Yeah.
was 3 years old, kicking a ball around, and they
Yeah.
gave me the need to continue playing throughout my young life, at least. And I just kept going. And all my siblings, I have a big family of 5 other siblings,
Yeah.
so all of us at one point played. And I was the only one that stuck with it as long as I have.
Yeah.
I have some siblings that are very successful in what they do, but
Yeah.
sports wise, at least I'm the one that's stuck this far into the sport.
Yeah.
And one football wise, soccer wise, is the only one who's actually kept going with it and
Right.
kept with it.
Yeah, because I've watched your content for a couple months now, and the way that you train, the way that you play is very it's different than a lot of people that I watch. I think it's very composed, very balanced. Something that I've had to work on in my game personally for a long time is the balance aspect of it. And you're very balanced. It looks slow, but it's not. It's clean, it's crisp, it's at least on Instagram, it looks good, it looks nice. And so that's why I asked, because I was wondering just sort of where you even learned that style.
No, definitely. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people see what I put on Instagram and they think that's exactly me. If I teach a skill, they're like, "Oh, he's a dribbler." But
Yeah.
realistically, besides people watching my highlight tape, which is on my profile on the
Yeah.
first post itself, if people watch that, then they could see how I play, a little bit more about me.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a highlight tape. It's going to be some of the best I've had within
Yeah.
my last couple of years.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know how I truly play. If it's me and three other guys and we're doing nice 2-on-2, I'm going to take some touches and
Yeah.
I'm going to be skillful. But if it's a
Yeah.
true game, at least when I was from America, or when I came to America, to England in 2018,
Yeah.
I was very much of a dribbler. If I was one-on-one with a player, I would take it all day. And
Yeah.
I still have that side to me. But over the years, especially in England, I learned to pass the ball, and especially in England, learned to open my hips and hit a long ball, and started to
Yeah.
appreciate passes more. And then in Germany, I learned to stop hitting long balls, different style, and start to get the ball down and play smaller. And especially getting switched more into a defensive mid in Germany, I liked
Yeah.
that role because I was able to get on the ball more, and I was able to pass small rather than just forcing the long passes. So that's one thing for me, is that although I put so much on my coaching account, it's
Right.
so different how I play. And I'm so, as you said, composed. I prefer to be that composed player, get on the ball, find the simple pass, keep the ball. There's no better player than the guy who keeps the ball. No one's going to complain about the player who keeps it. They're only going to complain about the player who loses it.
What do you notice in young kids today that may be different than when we were growing up? And you talk about you love a player who can keep a ball. I say there's two things that, and if you boil down football into two things, offense and defense. The first thing for offense, don't give the ball away. That's what I tell every kid. If you want to
Definitely.
do one thing and just be at above average level, don't give the ball away. And the second thing on defensively is don't beat yourself. If you do those two things, you'll be above average. And that's what I tell every kid. And so what are some things that, because you just said you like the players who don't give the ball away or are able to pass. What are a couple of things that you see with young kids today that may be completely different than when me and you were growing up?
I'd say kids prefer to be a walking highlight tape. They love to make something happen and be like, "Oh, I did this today,"
Yeah.
and it's not just I had a great game. It's, do you remember when I went and did this?
Yeah.
And I mean, as well as how you found me, the internet is so
Yeah.
big, and there's so many ways to, yes, improve yourself. But there's also so many ways to see other players doing stuff that they do once every year, once every many games, maybe one skill and a finish. And people are like,
Right.
"Oh my, I want to do that same skill. I need to work on that skill."
Yeah.
But realistically, that player's not doing that skill every time. It's working
Right.
on that stuff that you can do in every game situations.
Yes.
Especially when I take my, of course, I put stuff online as well, but I also have
Yep.
one business where I
Yeah.
help out players as well. And when I help
Yep.
out these players, I work very much on the realistic side. If I see a player do a skill and I'm like, "When would you do this?" I love the skill. Don't get me wrong. Combination skills are great, but when are you going to throw 2, 3 skills in a row at a player when you're sprinting at them?
Yeah.
I told a player recently, I said, "If you're running at me in a one-on-one, you're throwing 4 or 5 skills. I'd rather you run at me at full speed because it's more
Yes.
scary. It's more hard to defend because all it takes is one body thing or one just drop a shoulder other way and you're gone. But if you're doing skills, I have a chance to recover myself. I have a chance to think it through. And
Yeah.
although you're moving the ball, I'm still thinking. Unlike if you're running at me, it's harder to think about what you're going to do. So I
Yeah.
think, in other words, keeping of course, as you said, keep it as simple as you can. I like the idea of players keeping simple. And if I'm building a team, I'm finding guys that can pass. I'm
Yeah.
finding guys who can keep the ball just same exact as you. I prefer that,
Yeah.
where they're keeping the ball and it makes life easier. Yeah, I like a skillful
Yeah.
player on the wing, but if
Right.
they can keep the ball first, way more important.
Right. Efficiency and I always say just do your job, right? If I'm a 10, are you getting assists? Like at the end of the day, it's a results business. At a certain point, did you score the goal? Did you make the pass? Did you get a clean sheet? Like that's what it is. And then within that, you find yourself, right? Like I always tell like a little story. It's like the post office, the postal worker who has a good relationship with the people that she or he works for is always going to be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see her or whatever. But they still have to deliver the mail though. Like at the end of the day, they still have to do the job. Then they put their own personality on top of it. And that's just sort of like the analogy I like to use. But
Smart, I like that.
yeah, it's so spot on though. It's like you're doing 5 or 6, 7 moves, but who is that? Who are you doing that for? Are you doing that just for yourself? Like you said, the highlight reel, or are you doing that to be effective and efficient? I think that's spot on. And I think that's another great word for you when I watch you on Instagram and stuff like that. It's efficiency, right? I'm not taking 16 touches. I'm taking a touch and I'm playing and then I'm moving. Right.
Definitely.
And so that brings me to my next question is like, what would you tell a young player today? How can I get ahead? How can I get that one? I'm playing in a team. I'm a good player. I play, but how can I just take it to that next level? How can I go from
Definitely.
starting every game to how can I be a difference maker in the game? And you could even say, talking to a young Dustin, what would you say to them?
Definitely. That's one thing that I mean, there's two things I'll give on that. Those are both things that I wish I had, of course, is one,
Yep.
put yourself around people who are going to have the same mentality as you. That's
Yep.
definitely something that's going to strive yourself. If you're working your own environment, yes, it's great. You have that mentality, but it's very difficult to maintain that mentality for long unless you have someone next to you who also has that mentality, which then it makes it more easy. If I'm
Yep.
like, I can't go to the field today, and then eventually you're like, someone else is like, what time are we
Yep.
going? You're not going to say, I'm too tired. You're going to say, let's go, 5 p.m. And
Yep.
you're going to promote that. The second thing I'd probably say extra training. That's one thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I put it up on my page for so many reasons. That
Yep.
extra training is so important. I think that if you can do the extra training, and you'll be above, because so many kids everywhere in the world have talent, but hard work beats talent, in my opinion, all day. I think
Yep.
if put a ball down and you have two guys against each other, one works every single day off the field and on the field, and one only works on the field, you're going to notice that player off the field. Maybe they're doing it in silence, but it's going to
Yep.
get seen at times. Might not get seen every day. Like people are like, oh, I'm working. They're going to put it on their social medias. Oh, look at me. I'm doing
Yeah.
this. No one's going to care in the end, because in the end, what the end product is what matters. If you're going to do that extra work, it's going to show.
Yep.
If I'm getting 5 minutes extra a day than the normal players, then I'm 5 minutes stronger than those players. Even if it
Yep.
doesn't add up at the beginning, it's like, oh, I did 5 minutes and it's not showing. Of course, it's not going to. It might take a week, might take months, might take years. Because for me, it took a lot of time to get that extra
Yep.
work where I'm finally starting to feel happy with how I feel on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it spot on, and I think what you're touching on is like the intent of my training. Like, am I going out just to say I went out? Because I was at the field for 2 hours. Yeah, but what'd
Yep.
you do?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's two parts. There's two things you said, right? So the first thing is hard work beats talent. I literally
Yep.
just made a post the other day about how hard work is expected and that it's competition, it's competitiveness that I value. Because at a certain point, we're all working hard, right? At a certain point, whether it's, first team football, national team football, at a certain point, everyone here has to work hard or you're gone, right? And so I put up a post about competitiveness, the difference between hard work and competitiveness. And like you said perfectly, if it's me versus you, then that training is going to kick in. But I also think that there's that mentality of being like, hey,
Definitely.
there's no way you're going to beat me, because I will either. My thing with my kids is if we lose, I ask them how many yellow cards did we get? If there's no yellow cards, you're not competitive enough. Where are the tackles? Where's the fight? And so for me, I'm big on the competitive aspect. And there's two parts of the competitive aspect: is competitiveness with your opponent. That could be your teammate in training, or that could be the opponent on the pitch, and then the competitiveness with yourself.
Definitely.
Like my coach said, from here to there in 15 seconds. I have to get it in 15 seconds, despite how my body feels, despite what my mind's saying. I have to beat 15 seconds. And that's that competitiveness with yourself. And so
Definitely.
that's sort of like that point that you were saying about the hard work and talent.
Definitely.
The next,
Very
yeah,
good with that.
yeah. So the next thing, getting to the end here. So my thing is, I saw on I forgot if it was your personal page or the coaching page, but it talked about focus training, right? Talk to me about focus training. How do I know that I'm actually getting focused training, and how can I, if I'm not sure, or I know I'm not getting focus training, how can I change my training to be more focused?
Well, for example of that, if I want to be better at passing, I shouldn't be working specifically on my dribbling that day. I should add specifically those drills that I'm looking to work on
Yeah.
of the thing itself. So if I want to be better at passing, I need to focus on passing. And if you don't have someone, you could still do passing with the wall and stuff. But the thing is, people are like, oh, I want to work my passing. And I ask them, what kind of drills have you been doing? Explosive speed stuff,
Yeah.
dribbling. I sometimes I go and play games. Oh, that's great. You're playing games. That's the only place that I've heard you're passing. And I don't even know if you're
Right.
passing that games. I haven't seen videos. But realistically, if you're doing a whole session of drills that aren't involving passing, how are you going to get better at your passing? You need to be very specific on the one thing that you want to work on. And I like to do that. So some people train differently. Some people like to
Yeah.
do two passing, two dribbling, two shooting. I'm very different with that. I like to keep it around a theme. So if I'm
Yeah.
going to do physicality, maybe I'll do physicality where first of all, I'm working balance. So I'm making sure that I'm balanced, and maybe I'll have, if I'm with someone, I'll have maybe stand on one foot, have them push me, and I'm keeping my body
Yeah.
straight and myself high just to make sure I have my balance side down, because that also adds into physicality. And I'll break down physicality into certain sections like that: balance, then into strength, then
Yeah.
into strength into keeping the ball, strength into winning the ball. And then it's different. And that's how I make my sessions. I'd break it down and I'd keep it like that. So for example,
Yeah.
I might do that balance drill, like I said, and then I'll start to get into maybe a jumping drill where I'm bumping into
Yeah.
someone and then I'm running to get the ball. And that's another one where it's, again, hitting someone with the physicality side, balance to land, and then push off, keeping explosiveness also in the session. So I can add, of course, other things into the session, but keep around the theme
Right.
itself,
Right.
which is so important.
And sort of same thing with me. Based on that, based on those things, based on how good the player is, and based on how much they understand it and what level they're at, is how far we can sort of go away from that sort of theme. So if we're doing
Definitely.
the physicality aspect, we could sort of go further into like a dribbling with more physicality. You know what I'm saying? And so that's
Definitely.
spot on. I'm the same exact way. There has to be a theme of the session, whether we're working on the mental aspect of the game, doing things that are a little bit more complex, or we're just focusing on the basics of getting the passing right, getting the touch right, getting the dribbling right, etc. Um, yeah. So I again, I appreciate you coming on. Last question. As of this podcast, it could be more after this, but you have 112,000 followers, right? If you had all 112,000 followers in one room, it would be more than the Camp Nou, right?
Definitely.
What would you say to them? What would you say? What would be your main message to every single follower? What would you tell them?
Make it possible to be the best you. I mean, there's definitely people who are sitting at home when they could be doing extra work. There's definitely
Mm,
people who, when they have the chance, they could be doing whatever it is that they want to do. Because of course, all 112 are not people who are playing exactly, but there's things that they're doing. And if they make the best out of it, it's going to make the best for them as well.
I freaking love that, man. With your content, I'm so intrigued because there are a lot of people in the soccer. There's a few people in the soccer world now. There's a lot of people, doing content and stuff like that. But I get the sense when I'm watching you that you actually know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And so, I appreciate that. It's really good to see like people who actually understand what they're talking about. It's not just like a 17-year-old kid where you don't see their face and they post, motivational content and stuff like that. No problem with that. Do your thing. But it's good to see like actual people who actually know what they're talking about, actually caring. It's a lot, and I really appreciate that.
Definitely, it's the whole reason. I mean, I started everything. I want
Yeah.
people to progress themselves, and I mean, it's much different. At first, I used to post the drills of me doing full speed,
Yeah.
and then I later found out that people can't improve from that. They can't use it and learn the
Right.
drills. So I started doing it slower, and everything now is based off of people doing it. It's not. I'm not naming the drills themselves. I don't care what credit people give to me as long as they're doing it. I don't care. I always say this to people. I don't care if I walk outside and I'm like, oh, that's Cooper coaching. I would rather them do my drills and not know my
Yeah.
name than, and even
Yeah.
maybe know the page, but I'd rather them know the
Yeah.
drill and be able to better themselves than to recognize me in public.
Right. If they